Well, I have to say, I can't imagine why anyone would not read this book. This is a book that is for, it cuts across age, it cuts across gender, cuts across socioeconomic status, and this is a book for anyone who is interested in greatness. Taking themselves from wherever they are, because learning is a lifelong process. Growth is a lifelong process. Either you're growing or you're dying. There is no stasis. And so for anyone who's interested in going from where you are today to another level, this is a book that doesn't talk about the theory just, but really is a toolkit that is tried and tested, and that if you engage this process, you will go from where you are to an even greater level in terms of you living in alignment with your gifting. And ultimately, a person would buy this book because they want to live an abundant life that's full of meaning and joy.
Sure.
I mean, that's what we want. We want joy, meaning, and power in our lives. So this book will help you to get more joy, meaning, and power.
In accord with that, I think if I were to say why a person would want to read this book, greatness as we're describing it is really the authentic person. People need to learn how. We want to help people to be who they were meant to be, not whom perhaps somebody wants them to be or who they think they should be. But how do you really connect with your authentic self, so that through the layers that are sometimes put on us in different ways, we get to the real core of who we really are. Who is that person? How does that person live? What is that person like? What is that person capable of achieving? And I think through the process of motivational discovery and transformation, we are really helping people to uncover their authentic selves. Because nobody coming through this process is going to be exactly like anybody else. But everyone coming through this process will attain to greatness. And greatness is being authentically who you are. And I think this is one of the few books out there with these two tremendous components, which unlocks authenticity, which is really greatness. I mean, I didn't really get involved the first time she talked about it. The second
Not
time,
get involved is an understatement. He's like, yeah, okay, very interesting. Call me, we'll talk.
Yeah, because but I thought her request was just some token acknowledgement that really wasn't as substantive as it was. I said, look, you don't need me to do what you're doing. You're in the transformation. I'm into motivation. These are two different streams, though they're related. But you're already doing what God is calling you to do. And you're great at it. So we don't really. I said, no, I don't need to hitch my caboose to your engine. Just run. Just keep running.
Did you sense some competitiveness there?
Yeah.
Hitch his caboose to my, perhaps I was saying, maybe I'll hitch my caboose to your engine. But I mean, did you catch that?
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm glad someone caught that.
How did you bring him along?
I prayed. I prayed.
Why did you feel like you needed him though? Because you could. I mean, all the stuff you do. Why'd you need it?
You know, this book thing was really interesting. I was on my journey, really. I was heading a women's investment fund. I was using these transformation tools in a completely secular environment. Although I am a Christian, and I really started to develop this toolkit within the church. I was a member of Emmanuel Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, and developed a program called Purpose in Place. And we really, we're just doing wonderful things within a Christian context, really helping members of the community to grow and develop businesses that were spirit-led businesses.
Right.
That's really what I'm all about. It's amazing. And I kept, I would go to pray because I really wanted to take this work to another level. And God kept saying, you've got to write this book. You've got to write about these breakthroughs that people are having. This is important stuff. You've got to write the book. And it got to a place where I couldn't pray because I hadn't done what I needed to do. So I couldn't go back to the throne until I started writing. It was like, oh. And then when Spirit said, well, you have to write this book with your brother. I was like, my brother? Which one? I knew which one. I just knew it. And it actually would have been easier for me to write this book with any of my other transformation. Is not something you kind of just, hey Joe in the supermarket, how's your gift? It doesn't happen. And so when we sat down and we started talking about congruency, because that is really what we were all about, helping people to get into an alignment with their gifting and then investing in them. And that was the secret of our success. We weren't just betting on the horse. We were making sure that the horse and the jockey were one. And that's what his doctoral dissertation was all about, was gifting and congruency. So when we really started talking, it was like he had one part and I had another, and it just came together. And that has to be ordained. Yeah. It just couldn't happen.
What are we both working for? We're both working towards helping people to really walk out their life's purpose. And these are two critical pieces that, as far as I can see in the literature, have never really been brought together in a volume in the way that we have the potential to bring them together in a volume. And so we can really assist people in discerning and walking out their life purpose by collaborating and be more effective together than either one of us could be. I define motivation as a basic propelling urge that is actually put in us by God Himself to function a certain way. It's a script that's been divinely written in us. We don't get to choose it, we do get to discover it and align with it, but it's already divinely put in us. And that motivation, once it's discovered, because I don't have to be told to do what I'm motivated to do. I just need to discover what I'm doing, because the motivational drive is already there, and I'm already doing it because I'm propelled to do it. I've got this inner urge to do this, and I just need to be more cognizant of it, and through cognizance, perhaps more intentional about it, but it's there. It's a driving force.
Sometimes we can make it more complicated than it needs to be, but really it is not just change, which is modification. It is really transferring your form from one form to another, along this continuum from a place of potentiality to a place of mastery within this spiritual context, where you are going from a place where you have received salvation, but your mind isn't renewed. It is a process of renewing your mind. And when I say transferring form, you really are coming from a place where you are full of potential greatness to a place where you are being, your potential for greatness is being unlocked, and you are achieving greatness through service, which comes from living in alignment with your gifts, because your gifting is all about service. It's all about furthering the kingdom. And so once you engage in this transformation process, because it is a process of going from one form to another, a form that is saved but not changed, to a form that is saved and changed beyond recognition. So that's why it's not a process of change. It is a process of transferring form.
Yeah.
Because if you go through and you really look at how this process happens, just because you're saved doesn't mean that your mind automatically becomes and that's what really Paul was talking about when he talked about being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
And that scripture, as you mentioned, I'm thinking about that Romans 12 scripture, the transference of form, the metamorphosis, is that Greek word for metamorphosis, describing the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. It's the same insect, but the form is radically different, and the potential to take to the skies is released upon transformation. So we can work it.
And that's the image we use in chapter 7.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah.
And see, that's why he's my big brother.
There are not many books out where two siblings who the Lord has blessed with the level of achievements we have working together. And so here's a book people can pick up. They can read some from Dr. Mack. They can read some from Baby Doctor. and we're blending. We're working together. We're after the same thing. We want to help people to really be who they were divinely intended to be. And we're after that in this book. And we're after it together. And to see our names together on that volume, man. So once people know about us, they'll be blessed by us.
I got one last thing.